Ciao bellezza! Today we're gonna make meatballs. And this recipe drives me crazy to share with you because you have been home so many times when I make this and you just have never paid attention. So now I'm making the video so you pay attention, okay? Mind you, when I normally make these meatballs, I never use pork, as you know. I'm allergic to pork. So I put some sirloin, and normally I would put veal, but they didn't have veal today, so I'm using just two different types of meat. One that's very lean and one that's not so lean to put together just to have a little bit of fat. Now there's 2 pounds of ground beef in here, okay? So you're gonna need 2 pounds of ground beef. You're gonna need 3 eggs, pepper, garlic, onion powder, fresh garlic, fresh onion that I grated, and I did that because sometimes people don't like the thick consistency of onions in there. I'm going to put some salt. I have Parmigiano Reggiano, breadcrumbs, Pecorino Romano, and my secret ingredient. Would you like to know what that is? Ding, ding, ding. You guessed it. Oatmeal. I know. It's crazy. No Italian, I'm sure, does this, but I've done this because I find that it does 2 things. 1, it's healthy, and 2, it also gives this real tenderness to the meatballs once they're cooked. And you won't even know that they're in the meatball because you've eaten it so many times and never once have I heard anyone say, "Oh, there's oatmeal in here." No. So let's get started and I'll show you how to put this together. Come on. What I want to talk about before we do that is I made the sauce earlier, okay? The sauce has been simmering here, doing its job, getting ready for me to put meatballs in. So that's what we're going to do. I made the sauce, it's simmering nicely, and we're going to put these meatballs when I'm done in the sauce. Now I broke the meat apart here, so what I'm going to do first is add about, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon of salt. Add the pepper. Add the garlic powder. People ask, why are you adding garlic powder, onion powder, and then putting fresh garlic and onion? Because it's a burst of flavor. Everybody wants that burst of flavor, okay? So let's put the fresh garlic cloves. Try to move them around as much as possible. Let's do the grated onion. Oh, it just smells so wonderful. And then I'm going to put the parsley. And then I'm going to put breadcrumbs. I may not want all of them, but about a cup. Now I'm going to put Parmigiano Reggiano. Oh, look how wonderful and fluffy that is. And Pecorino. Pecorino just has a tangier flavor, a tangier or I don't know what you call it. It's just oh, the bite that's in that. It's just a nuttier flavor that you can have inside there. I'm going to put 3 eggs. We have to bind these somehow together. There we go. Rinse my hands off. Now I know you always say, "Oh, I hate getting my hands dirty." Well, how else can you cook well if you don't get your hands dirty? Now, if you find that the oatmeal is a little sticky, what you need to do is add some water. I'm going to add just a little bit of water. See, just like this. Get it to be a little bit mushier, if you will. Before you put the oatmeal, I recommend mixing this together to see what your consistency is going to be like. Now, I can already tell that the oatmeal is definitely necessary. And when I do this, don't be afraid to get in there and just squeeze it. Squeeze it with your hands. There you go, like this. Now, I'm going to add a little bit at a time, a little bit of oatmeal. Just like this. I know you guys are probably still thinking, oatmeal, what the heck? But I promise you, These will be the best meatballs you've ever had, okay? Stay with me. Now, if ever you start making meatballs and you say to yourself, oh, you know what? The meat feels like really soft in my hands, like it doesn't even want to stick together very well, add some more breadcrumbs. If you say to yourself, oh, it's too dry, I'll make a suggestion. Now, for those of you who don't mind dairy, put milk in it. Milk is a very nice tenderizer for meat. You can add almond milk, but just be very sparingly with it because it does have like a nutty flavor to it, right? You can use oat milk and soy milk too if you want to. That'd be fine. But these are perfect. Look at this. Oh, it smells amazing already. I can tell just by the look of it that it's ready. Now, my mom, Nonna, when she used to make her meatballs, she used to always have a little thing of olive oil next to her so that they wouldn't stick together. But I'm not as picky as that because I'm not making little meatballs. Sometimes we'd make the little meatballs to put in like a soups and things like that. That is when you really need the olive oil to the side so it doesn't stick to your fingers. But for the purpose of sauce, it is not necessary. So we're going to start rolling. I'm just going to get a plate. I don't like my meatballs very, very big. I like them a little small. And here's another tidbit. If you go to an Italian restaurant in Italy, there is no such thing as spaghetti and meatballs. People either made the meatballs or you have the pasta. You don't have them together. That is a very Italian-American thing that came into our culture here in the United States. Believe me, I'm not complaining about it. I love it, but I'm just saying it's not originally from Italy. It's just something that was brought here from Italians when they moved to this country. Now, when I roll my meatballs, sometimes they'll be a little too big. I like to have them to be the same size of pot if possible, just like so. And when I roll them, I don't roll them so they're super tight in there together. I do roll them a little loose, right? Because you don't want hockey pucks. You want meatballs, things that are going to, you know, taste wonderful and melt in your mouth and not feel like something you have to chew like a piece of tough steak, okay? Another question people always ask is, how do you make them so uniform so they look like they're the same? Well, first of all, I've been making meatballs since I was 7. That's one thing. And another thing is they're not perfect. They're definitely not perfect, but they'll taste great no matter how you do them. And I can feel it in my hand when it's too big. So I just take a chunk off. There we go. Now, mind you, I've made 2 pounds of meatballs. I am not going to cook all 2 pounds. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to freeze half and I'm going to cook half. So the next time when I make sauce, guess what? I'll have them in the freezer. I'll just plop them in frozen and let them cook. Now, with these meatballs here, I'm going to let, in 30 minutes, this will be thoroughly cooked, but I like to let it simmer longer than that, about an hour and a half to 2, so that the flavors really start blending in. Okay, I think for now we have enough, maybe even too much to put into the sauce. Let's try it out. Okay, so we have the meatballs ready. You just have to make sure that the sauce is kind of like a very mild boiling point, okay? It doesn't have to be splattering to get in there, but it has to boil because otherwise it'll catch the bottom and it'll burn, okay? So here we go. Just put them in. That's it. This is how I do it. It's less fattening and it's yummy. And we put them in there just like so. You see how I go in a circle? Because I want to make sure that there's room for these guys. Oh, we'll fix that in a second. You'll see. Okay. And then what you do is I shake this. Do not use the spoon right away. Why? Because they're raw and they're soft. And what you want to do is you want them to move naturally like this. Then put the lid on and keep an eye on it. Okay, now I'm going to let it cook for about an hour and a half. Let it simmer just like this, and we'll come back. It's been 20 minutes, so you want to stir it up a little, okay? But this is how I do it. I just do the edges and push in. Edges, gently push in, push in, push in, push in. You see them moving. You don't want to get in here and just start stirring because they'll fall apart. You got to give them time to cook, okay? So as long as you do that, you should be good. Do that, good. Move them around, just keep them moving, just like that. These are extra meatballs. So what do you do with it? You freeze them. I don't have a freezer Ziploc, but that would be preferable. But what I would do is I would just put them in just like so. I think that's you texting me, honey. You have no idea what I'm doing. You're out doing your thing. I think it's kind of funny. And then just put them in here. Try, you know, not to let them touch too much. Just like this. I like to take the air out of things. You can get a straw, whatever. I'll just do that. It's not a perfect science, but anyway. Try to get the air as much as possible. And then just put it in the freezer. And then you have it for the next time you just make the sauce. All right? Perfect. Okay, we're about to try the meatball. It's been about an hour. And we're going to try them out. Before I do that, I just want to make you understand that there are many ways to make meatballs. Some people don't use breadcrumbs. Some people like to use their old bread and damp it up with water to make it soft to put it in the meatballs. You can add also little teeny bits of provolone cheese, you know, that you get at the deli. Make sure it's cut a little thick and then cut it up, and you can have oozing meatballs full of cheese in there. There's not one way to make meatballs. That's what's fun about Italian cooking. I feel you can do whatever you want. You can make it your own. I made mine my own by adding oatmeal. I know, strange, but it's delicious. And we're going to try one, and I'm going to show you on the inside. You can't even see where the oatmeal is, but it's in there and it's super good. So let's try this out. Now you see here it's boiling a little high, so I'm going to turn it down. When the meatballs kind of float to the top, you kind of know that they're ready. We'll take 2 out. Why not? Just sprinkle a little Pecorino Romano or Parmigiana Reggiana, and let's just break into this. You can see that from the inside, you cannot see where the oatmeal is at all. Excuse me, I can't speak. Okay, but you can see where the spices are. See all that? Let's try it out. Let's see what this tastes like. Success. This tastes amazing. You can taste all of those flavors inside of the meatball. And the longer that you let it cook in the sauce, the better it will become. Actually, what I love to do is I love to leave my sauce in the fridge and serve it the next day, because it has the entire 24-hour time frame to be able to infuse all those flavors. Oh, this is so good. I wish you were here. But you know what? Make it yourself and you'll see what I'm talking about. Che buono. This is in Italian for buonissimo. Bella, buon appetito. I love you. Ciao.